Thank you all so much for coming out to our first ever Facebook Community Summit. It's great to be here in Chicago with all of you, where there's so much great work that's going on building communities. Now, before we get started today, I want to introduce myself. I'm Mark, and I'm a member of the Zuckerberg family group. I am also a member of Max's Circle, which is like our family group, except we all just share cute photos of my daughter doing ridiculous things. I'm also a member of about 5 different groups for people who like the same kind of dog as I do. That's actually my dog. His name is Beast. He's a poolie, which means he's basically a walking mop, except instead of making things cleaner, he makes them dirtier. All right, and there are thousands of other dogs like him on the internet. All right, now, not that many people know this, but I'm actually an admin, too, of a group for people who like playing the video game Civilization. Small group. But, like you, I've had to sort through and filter a lot of requests from people who don't actually play the game. So I know what a lot of you are going through. All right, now some communities are more serious, though. We recently created a community to support my dad, who is recovering from heart surgery. And Dad, if you're watching this on the live stream, I know that everyone here is sending our love to you and praying for a quick recovery, and I'll see you in a few days when I'm back home. Now, all of you here today have built some of the strongest communities on Facebook. You built communities for new moms and dads, for helping kids get into college. One of the leaders here today, Derek Hooker, runs a community of locksmiths. Where are you, Derek? Now, Derek, being a locksmith can be a lonely job. So, your group gives them a sense of community. Absolutely. And when your members heard that we were hosting a community summit, dozens of them wrote in to us to tell us that we had to invite you to be here with us today. So I'm really glad that you're here. Thank you so much for coming. Now, as I've sat down with a lot of you to hear your stories about building communities, a few themes have really stuck with me. You've all been thrust into these unexpected leadership positions. You've started a group for something that you really care about, and now there are thousands of people who depend on you to keep that community going strong. Right? And this is something that I can relate to. Right? I originally started Facebook because I wanted to connect the community at my college. But I always thought that one day someone was going to help connect the whole world, but I never thought it was going to be us. We were just college kids. I would have been happy if we connected our whole dorm. But this idea, we cared about so much that all people want to connect. So we just kept pushing forward on it, day after day after day, just like all of you. Now, another thing that's impressed me as I've had a chance to sit down with some of you is, you're not doing this, you're not building groups because they're going to, they're going to look good on your resume. You're doing it because you just care about bringing people together. And, a few weeks ago, I had a chance to meet Lola Amalola. Where are you, Lola? Now, Lola lives in Chicago. She's originally from Nigeria. And about 2 years ago, she started the secret Facebook group Female In, which she describes as a no-judgment support group for women, to give them a safe place to care about all kinds of issues that they care about, from work to marriage to health issues. And today, your community has more than 1 million people around the world, all women, and all because one woman cared enough to give them a voice. So, we are all here trying to do the most good we can for our communities. We know how lucky we are to be here and have this opportunity, and we know how much we owe it to our communities to give back. Now, today, I actually want to share a milestone that we're really close to reaching for the overall Facebook community. Just a couple of days ago, I was talking to the woman who's in charge of growing the Facebook community around the world, and she told me, well, first of all, her name is Naomi Gleit. She's going to be here tomorrow at the Community Summit, and talking about great stories of leadership. Naomi joined us more than 10 years ago, right out of college, and she's worked her way up within the company, so now she runs this big group that's in charge of trying to connect more and more people around the world. And a couple of days ago when we talked, she told me that we are now very close to reaching 2 billion people in the overall Facebook community. Can you believe that? It's a great milestone, but it also means that we just have an even greater responsibility in the world now. Every day I wake up and I just think to myself, I don't have much time here on Earth. Right? How can I make the greatest positive impact that I can? And I know that this is a question that a lot of you ask yourselves too, and it's not always an easy question to answer. Right? And some days I wake up and I just want to be with my daughter and teach her everything I've learned. Some nights I go to bed and I'm not sure if I made the right decisions that day. Right? And I can tell you that feeling doesn't go away, or no matter who you are or what you're doing. But every day you can just wake up and do your best and try to make the world a little bit better. Now, the thing that I think we all need to do right now is work to bring people closer together. And I think that this is actually so important that we're going to change Facebook's whole mission as a company in order to focus on this. So, for the last decade or so, we've been focusing on making the world more open and connected. And we're not done with this yet. We're always going to do this. But I used to think that if we just gave people a voice and helped some people connect, that would make the world a lot better all by itself. And in a lot of ways it has. But today, when we look around, our society is still very divided. Right? So now I believe that we have a responsibility to do even more. Right? Not simply connect the world, but also work to bring the world closer together. So, we need to give people a voice to make sure that we can get a diversity of opinions out there. But we also need to help build enough common ground so we can all move forward and make progress together. We need to help stay connected with the people we already know and care about. But we also need to meet new people with new perspectives, too. We need support from our family and our friends. But we also need to build communities to support us in new ways, too. All right, so for 10 years now, our mission has been to make the world more open and connected. And we are always going to focus on this. We're always going to work to give more people a voice and to help us connect. But now, we want to do more on top of that, too. So today we're going to set a new mission to set our course as a company for the next decade. And the idea behind our new mission is to bring the world closer together. And the full formal mission statement is going to be to give people the power to build community to bring the world closer together. And that mission reflects that this isn't something that we can do by ourselves. Right? The only way that we can do this is by empowering people around the world to build community, just like all of you are, and to bring people closer together. So, our lives are all connected. Right? And in our generation, our greatest opportunities and challenges we can only take on together. Right? Things like ending poverty and curing diseases and stopping climate change and spreading freedom and tolerance and stopping violence. There's no single group or even country that can take these things on alone. So we have to build a world where people come together to take on these big, meaningful efforts. And this isn't going to happen top-down. Right? There is no one in the world who can just snap their fingers and make that happen. Right? People have to want it. Or they have to fight for it. Change starts local. When enough of us feel a sense of purpose and support in our own lives, that we can start to care about broader issues too. Now, I've always believed that people are basically good. Right? And as I've traveled around and had the chance to meet all kinds of different people, from regular folks to heads of state, I've always found it's been inspiring to see that almost everyone genuinely cares about helping other people. But we all also need to feel supported. Right? No one wants to feel afraid. But if you don't feel good about your life here at home, then it's hard to care about other people in other places. Now, our communities give us that sense that we are a part of something greater than ourselves, or that we are not alone, and that we have something better ahead to work for. We all get meaning from our communities, and whether they're churches or sports teams or neighborhood groups, they give us the strength to expand our horizons and to care about broader issues. So studies have actually proven that the more connected we are, the happier we are, and the healthier we are too. People who go to church are more likely to volunteer and to give to charity, not just because they're religious, but also because they're a part of a community. So that's why it is so striking that over the past few decades, membership in all kinds of communities around the world has been declining, and in a lot of places by as much as 1/4. Right? So that's a lot of people who now need to find a sense of purpose and support somewhere else. So this is our challenge. We have to build a world where every single person has a sense of purpose and community. That's how we're going to bring the world closer together. We need to build a world where we care just as much about anyone, a person in India or in China or in Mexico or Nigeria, as we care about a person right here in Chicago. That's how we're going to achieve our greatest opportunities and build the world that we all want for generations to come. I know we can do this. We can do this. We can reverse this decline, and we can rebuild our communities and build new ones and work to bring the world closer together. So how are we going to do this? That's what we're going to talk about today. And today I want to focus on two parts of our product roadmap that are focused on building meaningful communities. All right? Now, for most of us who are here, in our physical lives and online, we're parts of a lot of different communities. The average person on Facebook is a member of about 30 different groups. But if you're lucky, you probably just have maybe 1 or 2 or 3 that are really meaningful for you. Right? And the rest are going to be more casual groups, like the Poolie groups I talked about before, where I get some cute puppy photos in my news feed, and that's important too. But it's not exactly a part of my support structure. But what we found is that there are more than 100 million people who are part of what they call meaningful communities on Facebook. And what that means is that upon joining these groups, they quickly become the most important part of your social network experience and an integral part of your real-world support structure. So if you're diagnosed with a rare disease, you can now join a group and connect with people around the world who have the same condition, so you're not alone. And if you have a child, you can join a group of other new moms and dads who are going through a lot of the same experiences and share your joy to get the support that you need there too. And these communities, they don't just connect online, right? They host get-togethers and they hold dinners and they support each other in their day-to-day lives. Right? So online communities make our physical communities stronger because they help us come together online as well as offline, and often across really big distances. So a little while ago, I started asking this question to our team. If there are almost 2 billion people on Facebook, then how come we've only helped connect 100 million of them to meaningful communities? Well, it turns out that in the physical world and online, most of us don't seek out communities. Right? Our friends either invite us or they bring us along, or on Facebook, we find ways to suggest them to you. So a little while ago, we started this project at Facebook to see if we could just get better at suggesting communities that were going to be meaningful to you. And we started building some technology and artificial intelligence to do this, and it turns out it works. It works. And in 6 months, we've helped more than 50% more people join meaningful communities on Facebook than had joined them in the whole history of the product before that. And that was just doing some basic stuff. All right, so there's a lot more to do here, and we're really excited about this. So now, we're going to set a goal. We want to help 1 billion people join meaningful communities. And if we can do this, it will not only reverse the whole decline in community membership that we've seen for decades around the world, it's going to start to strengthen our overall social fabric and bring the world closer together. But AI is only going to get us so far, right? Because in order to have meaningful communities to suggest, there have to be strong communities in the first place. So that's where all of you, the community leaders, that's why you are so important to this mission. Right, as I've traveled around and seen a lot of different places, one theme has really stuck with me. Every great community has great leaders. So think about this. A church doesn't just come together by itself, right? It has a pastor who looks out for the well-being of the congregation, and if someone hits hard times, they're in charge of making sure that people have the food and shelter they need. But a Little League team has a coach, right, who motivates the kids and helps teach them how to hit better. Right? Leaders set the culture, right? They inspire us, they motivate us, they give us a safety net, and they take care of us. And every one of you does that for your communities. That's why your groups are so meaningful to your members. Now, as I've traveled around, one of the communities that I've always been the most impressed by is the military. And on one of my recent visits, they shared with me a leadership principle that I'm never going to forget. They call it 100% ownership. And the idea is, if you have 5 people on a team, each person doesn't just feel responsible for 1/5 of a problem. Every single person feels responsible for 100% of making sure that mission works. So we've tried to bring this idea to Facebook. And we have the saying now that nothing at Facebook is someone else's problem. You see a problem, you go fix it. Now, all of you embody this spirit for your communities. You've said that nothing else is someone else's problem when it comes to taking care of your members. Lori McGonigal is here. Lori, where are you? Lori runs a group for disabled veterans that tries to fill in some of the gaps that our government misses. And when one of your members hit a hard financial time and was close to getting their electricity turned off, your group rallied together to help pay off their bills. It's amazing. Pamela Radisek is here too. Pamela, hey. Pamela runs a group called I Am Adopted that helps connect adopted children with their birth parents. And your group has helped reunite a number of different families already. Great communities have great leaders. And if we want the world to be filled with the kinds of communities that you're all building, then we have to make sure that we give more people the tools to build communities just like you. Now, historically, that's not how groups on Facebook have been set up. Where groups have been really flat in structure, or where everyone is a peer. And that makes sense if you're talking about building a group for your family. Right? Families don't really have a leader. But it doesn't make as much sense when you're trying to manage a group that has thousands of people. Matt Pressberry is here today. Matt, where are you? There you go, Matt. Now, Matt runs a group for black fathers out of Baltimore. And Matt, when we met, you told me that you spend a couple of hours a day helping to start discussions and approving every single post that someone makes in your group, and of course, approving every membership request. And you do all this on top of your job as a preschool teacher. Now, one of you told me that your husband often comes home from work and sees you on the couch in the living room and knows you've been there working all day long on your group. I can relate to that. All of you have made sacrifices for your communities. And you do this because you believe in what you're doing. And I want you to know that we believe in what you're doing too. So today, we're going to start rolling out some tools that's going to make it easier for you to build communities. And we have a whole roadmap to follow here from a lot of the work that we've done with page admins and event admins. So the first thing we're going to do is give you new tools that are going to offer insights into who your members are and how they're using your communities. So they're going to give you insights into things like join requests and the time of day that your members are most active. So, if you're running a new mothers group, that might be 1 a.m. and then 3 a.m. and then 5 a.m. Priscilla and I are having another daughter in a few months, and I'm going to get back on that schedule soon. And of course, we're going to give you guys some new tools to manage all the join requests that you have. So these new tools are going to help you sort and filter all your requests by location and gender and more, so you can group them together and accept and reject them all at once. That's going to save you a lot of time, right? That's probably the most common thing I've heard as I've sat down with a lot of you. And we're also going to help you remove bad actors and all their content from your groups. And this is really important, right? Because we all care about making sure that our communities are a positive and a safe environment. So this is going to help out with that. All right. So in the next couple of days, you're going to hear a lot more about our product roadmap and all of the research that we've done into what makes meaningful communities. Because if we want to work to bring the world closer together, then we have to start by supporting you, the people who are already doing this work. And we need to work to give more people that power too. Now, when you bring people together, it can lead to some unexpected things. Now, remember when I told you about Lola's women's support group that now has more than 1 million members around the world? Now, when I sat down with Lola, she told me that for some young girls growing up in Nigeria, if you talk out of turn, your mom will pinch you and tell you to be quiet. And you start to feel like there's something wrong with you if you speak up. All right, but now, Lola's community is helping to break this culture of silence. And it's having some unexpected consequences, and some on issues like domestic violence. All right, so Lola told me that for some Nigerian women, this silence leads to people enduring abuse. But now, when someone posts in your community, they're going to get thousands of messages of support and offers of places to stay and help with childcare, all within minutes. Lola didn't start out trying to change the culture of domestic violence around the world. She just wanted to give women a place to talk safely about the issues that mattered to them. This is the power of the communities that you are all building. You may think you're just creating a space for new moms, or for bird watchers, or for locksmiths. But when you give people a way to connect and a sense of support, it can lead to important changes. We all have the power to be leaders. And if enough of us work to build community and bring people together, we just might change the world. Thank you so much for coming out here today. Thank you so much for the work that you're all doing, building communities and for the world. It is an honor to be on this mission with all of you, and I look forward to seeing what we all build together. Thank you. Thank you. Thank
you. You go through all the different means of trying to get pregnant, and you keep failing. So you wonder if it's something that you should even pursue. I knew that there were other moms in the area that had adopted, and I wanted to get support from them and guidance. So I joined this group, Moms of Beverly. My husband and I made contact with a foster mom, and we met Lucian.
High five! Yay!
And the minute I saw him and I got to hold him in my arms, I knew from that point forward he was my son. He keeps me on my toes every single day. So to have the Moms of Beverly group and be able to say, hey, I need help, and know that there's other people that are willing to just listen or help you, it's amazing. It's like having 3,000 of your closest friends at your beck and call. I could never imagine my life without Lucian. He's an amazing little boy. There's nothing like being a mom. Nothing like it.
Thank you. My name's Chris. I work on the product team at Facebook with Mark. I want to say how excited I am to be here in Chicago, my favorite city on earth. This is the place I grew up. It's the place my mom grew up. Are you here, Mom? And Dad? It's the place my grandfather grew up. And we're all here, and I am so excited after 12 years to finally be hosting a big Facebook event in Chicago. I'm also excited because for so many of us, this is the most interesting thing happening right now. I have to say, the event last night was so exciting to see. First of all, how varied the different kinds of folks are here, and also just the common thread of dedication to something interesting. Seeing all of you folks get together, it's just been really incredibly inspiring for all of us, and we're excited to learn from you and build tools to help you do your job better. Chicago is the birthplace of house music. I grew up 1982, I was born then, house music was born then, and I grew up listening to B96, Chicago's dance music station, which I don't get access to anymore, but luckily I'm a member of Superb Mix Sets, which is run by some Chicago DJs who are helping me reconnect with the music that I grew up with and the place that I love. I'm also a member of Knowles Alumni. Knowles is the National Outdoor Leadership School. It's basically a really long, difficult camping trip. You're out in the cold rain and snow, you're trying to make a fire, it doesn't work. But when you come back, you've formed a really deep bond with the people you're on that trip with and the other folks who've been through it. This is a place to reconnect with something that matters to me. It's also a place to get good camping tips. I'm also a member of Plant Identification. This is fascinating. This group is insane. This morning, this is just a moment in the life of this group. It's like, hi, I'm Jan from Boca Raton, Florida. This sprouted in my front yard this morning. What is it? 2 minutes later, the answer. The scientific name, followed by a debate among expert botanists on the specific example of that, followed by a bunch of questions like, well, what is this doing in Florida? And it's like, well, normally these are found in Louisiana, but they began to make their way into the Boca Raton area. It's awesome. It is educational for me, and again, it's just an amazing example of the power of niche communities unlocked by the tools that we're all using today.
What was it?
Honestly, I can't pronounce it. It was some sort of ragweed, but you're not supposed to discuss the common name in the group. One of the rules. It's like, this is for scientific names, people. They're like, if you want the common name, look it up. Very strict rules, as you all know. So, just to take you back to the beginning of time, we didn't know these groups were going to be on Facebook. We really didn't ever dream of these groups being on Facebook. This was the Facebook in 2006, around the time I joined the company. And what was interesting is that we don't remember this, but it wasn't actually about sharing things with your friends. It was about understanding the community that was super important to you as a college student. It was about understanding who was in your college and connecting with the people in the different sub-communities, the sports teams, the athletic teams, the music clubs, and the various groups and clubs that gave the college its life. And so we knew that Facebook wanted to be about this in a very, very deep way. It was part of the original version. And we built tools because clearly people wanted to share things with their friends. We built Newsfeed to make it easier for people to see what was going on with the few hundred people they cared about the most. But the other thing that Newsfeed unlocked was the very first time large groups started to come together around ideas that mattered to them. The very first group on Facebook with 1 million people in it was turn off Newsfeed. Ouch. It was effective. We learned got a lot of good feedback there, and were able to improve the product. But the second and third and fourth largest groups were groups raising awareness for humanitarian issues and health issues and things that mattered to people. At the time, Darfur was a really important and really underreported humanitarian crisis, and that was the second largest group. And so we knew that there was something really, really powerful going on. We also launched, right around then, we launched photo tagging. And we found this incredible story of an ichthyologist. An ichthyologist is someone who studies fish. These ichthyologists were in Guyana. They're in this river basin. They collect thousands, 5,000 fish specimens, but they can't take them out of the country unless they can name what all the fish specimens are. And they only have a week left in the country. So they have a week to label 5,000 fish they've never seen before. This would have taken them months. So they just post all the photos to their friends, who happen to also be the other ichthyologists in the United States. And they're like, hey, if you know what these fish are, just tag them for us. Same thing, within 24 hours, 90% of the fish specimens were labeled. It's a good example, again, of the power of these niche communities that are unlocked, again, with like how much they can accomplish in a very short amount of time. So this is what led us to really start to send out our research teams to understand what was going on with these really powerful examples. And that's where we discovered what Mark was talking about earlier, which is that most people are in a lot of groups, but every once in a while you'll find one where their eyes light up, and you start to realize that you've tapped into something incredibly important. Where the member begins to describe it like a friend or like a family member, it's like, oh, let me tell you about this group. You all know this. But this is what helped us to begin to understand what was going on here and has led up to the chain of events that have us all sitting here today. We've consulted with academic experts who study communities. Communities are as old as time, and they've been studied for hundreds of years. Hey. And it turns out there's a few things that make great communities, that makes groups super meaningful. The first ingredient is identity. It's, for the members, it's a part of how they think about who they are. The second is need. It fulfills something that matters deep inside of who somebody is. The third is voice. It is a place where people feel like they're contributing to a conversation where they are heard and where the conversation is meaningful about something beyond them. And the last is culture. It is a source of, it has a strong language, it has strong values, it has symbols, it has traditions, it has strong leadership. And all of this sits on a bedrock of safety, which is the group or community feels like a place where people can come and be themselves. So I thought, since you are all experts in this anyway, I thought we'd just hear a little bit about some of your experience with these. So Brian, are you here today?
Ooh,
hey, Brian.
Hi.
Can you tell us?
Hello.
Can you tell us a little bit about identity?
Sure. The mission of my group is very simple. We want to create a family-friendly place for gay dads and their families. Now, to some of you, family-friendly means that there's chicken tenders on the menu at TGI Fridays. But for us, it's a matter of safety and security for our families. You know me well. For us, it's about rallying behind some dads whose family was on the cover of American Girl magazine, and then a national boycott came out against them. And their family was targeted. And the only place they had to turn to was gay fathers for support. That's family friendly to us. Or a group of dads, or two dads, or several dads, who a judge somewhere said, you're the biological father, but we need to make a social commentary on this, and we're going to separate you from your family and take your children away. We were the only group they had, and that's family friendly to us. And finally, to rally around two little kids, a little boy and a little girl from Miami, Florida. They'd been returned to the system not once, not twice, but 3 times. And a father in Miami said, can you find us these kids a home? And 2 fathers stepped up. And now those children are still in a home 3 years later. That's what's family friendly to us. So when we think about identity, we think about Facebook, and we want to thank you for opening up. We want to thank you for opening up the virtual front porch of the world. And thank you so much on behalf of Gay Fathers.
Thanks for sharing. Thank you, Brian. Okay, how about Keith from Meg's Miles Supporters? Do you want to tell us a little bit about fulfilling a need?
Yeah, and our story didn't start with really identifying a need. It had a tragic and unexpected start. So my friend Pam, who's here today, her daughter, Meg Cross Menzies, in January 2014, on a Monday morning, put her 3 elementary school children on a school bus, then went out for a run. She was training for the Boston Marathon. She was an accomplished runner. And at 8 o'clock in the morning, a drunk driver hit her and killed her. And her life was over. A friend of hers, who was touched like many of you just were, reached out on Facebook in the aftermath of that on Monday and said, hey, I really don't know what to do, but can we all this Saturday run for Meg? And over 100,000 people from around the world in 6 days responded, we're going to do that. And that following Saturday, 100,000 people ran over 1 million miles for somebody 99.99% of had never met. And so for us, when we looked at that, the question became, why is that? There are a lot of things that happen to people in the world. There are a lot of tragedy. What was it about this story that resonated so strongly with people? Because, you know, we could put ourselves in that position. We want to help when something tragic happens to somebody. And so we wanted to give them something that they could do. And so where we started was, what was it about Meg? And it couldn't have been that she was just a runner. And what it was, when we started looking, what resonated was, Meg, first and foremost, loved God. Second, Meg loved her family. And third, Meg loved everybody in her life. And so what we did was we challenged people in our group, love God, love your family, love the people around you. And then that has played out in so many different ways. Last year we collected over 17,000 pair of shoes, and they are now on the feet of refugees in Syria. That was... So people had a need to do something for somebody else that they knew was going through a hard time. They didn't know how to do it. And thank you, Facebook. They gave us a platform to meet that need, not just meet it, but meet it in a very big way. So thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you. All right, how about feeling like you're a part of a larger conversation? Amanda, are you here? Hi, Amanda.
Hi. So I belong to a national grassroots organization called the Sisterhood of Salam Shalom. And we bring together American Jewish and American Muslim women to build relationships across our communities. So the reason why this group is important is that it provides a space. Why the national group is important is that you have these two religious minority groups that tend to be very insular. We're in a point in time right now where things are increasingly hostile in this country toward minorities of all types. And we've seen, even in the last 6 months, an enormous spike in hate crimes. And what we have are these women who have chosen to, rather than kind of go inside their groups, reach across and form friendships in their communities, in their real, in the real world communities, and build peace. Right, and it's not just about dialogue. We do community service. We do fundraising, lots of activities. But the group that we have on Facebook is so important. The membership that we have in the group is actually much, much larger than the number of chapters that we have around the country. And the reason for that is a couple of reasons. One is that there are women who want to participate in this kind of ongoing community, but they don't have access to a group in their, or a chapter in their areas. There's people who are in isolated parts of the country, a Muslim woman or a Jewish woman who might be in a rural area who wants to participate in this kind of ongoing dialogue, but they don't have access to it. So they can go to the group and they can actually be part of it, which is amazing. And then the other really cool thing is that it's enabled us to really make this a national movement. So now we've seen, since the use of the group, this exponential kind of growth, and we're able to coordinate a national conference that has doubled each year since it started 3 years ago. And we expect it to double again this year in November. We have coordinated, last year we did a national day of service, tzedakah and tzedakah. These are the Jewish and Muslim words for charity. And we did it on Christmas Day. Muslims and Jews all over the country, women got together and performed acts of charity and then went for Chinese food afterwards. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Amanda. All right, and last, culture. Is Jeffrey here? Jeffrey, we got to hang out last night. You want to talk a little bit about identity?
Well, absolutely. And birding, bird watching, that's a nerd's delight. And I love all the different cool nerdy things that we're seeing here in the groups that are represented. But, we birders really were a social network before there was a World Wide Web. And we always had this issue of, we're out here reporting miraculous things. I mean, stuff that you can't believe. You don't know whether to believe. And we have to figure out, do I tell the boss that I'm not feeling well so I can cut out and go chase this rare bird that this buddy of mine says that she just found, 2 counties over? It creates some problems, but you know what? We've always been good at managing it. It's like, golf. It's like anything that's built on trust and honor. You know who's cheating. You figure it out pretty quick. And the thing that when Facebook came along, birders just took to it like ducks to water, because suddenly we were able to share information so quick. Because, like, birds have wings, they don't stick around, so you want to get out there fast, and you do want to know, should I stay, should I go? The Rare Bird Alert allows us to make those decisions much more quickly and much more accurately. So we're really grateful for that. And not every rare bird that shows up is close enough for you to, go see it. But the thing is, I get to hear, what all my buddies all around the country, all around North America, all around the world are finding, the everyday miracles that they're seeing in their own backyards. And that is a huge part of my day. It's a huge lift, and it means so much to so many of us, along with all the other stuff that we all have to deal with. So it's been so valuable for the American Birding Association to have Facebook groups because, as Mark said, how people relate is changing. There used to be membership organizations, and people belonged to professional societies and stuff. And Facebook has stepped in and I think is showing us a path forward on how these communities relate. And we're very excited to be part of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you. There's a fuller version of the story about the guy leaving work. So you'll have to track Jeffrey down later. So we've been doing as much research as we can to understand what's going on with communities on and off Facebook. We've learned that on Facebook there are just a bunch of different kinds. We're going to work on making sure that the tools we're building are broadly useful, and then we're also going to work on understanding what are the specific tools that the different kinds of groups, parenting groups, health groups, etc., might need. We've also worked on understanding offline groups and making sure that we can get a clear picture of how we might build better tools to serve the groups in the real world and the offline world. And we've also worked on understanding something Mark talked about earlier, which is that 1 in 5 people say they aren't in any groups that they find particularly meaningful, which is something for all of us to think about. The essential ingredient for all of this stuff has been very clear, is the leaders. Dr. Sabri is one of the many people. How you doing? Dr. Hala Sabri, the founder and leader of the Physicians Moms Group, an emergency room doctor, a mother of three, and just an absolutely amazing example of something we've learned is incredibly important to so many people. And you have helped us, like so many of us, understand that you're spending a lot of time on things that we could make a lot easier, which is the roadmap. Make your life and all of your lives easier so that you can spend more time catering to the people that you're investing so much of your time in. We've done something similar in the past with advertisers, which is just going and taking in a very disciplined and structured way, understanding how do we build all the insights and tools that are needed for an advertiser to do their job. This is something we started doing 8 years ago. And just to give you a picture of what, if we are successful, this might look like, is we'll keep refining and refining and refining, adding features and adding tools to make the insights that you guys have better and better, depending on whatever it is that you need. This is a brief history of the tools that we've built for advertisers. And that's why we are announcing today Group Insights, which we've heard from you is the most important thing that you need to not have to keep an Excel spreadsheet of the members that have, you're all nodding like, yep, I got it right here. An Excel spreadsheet to deal with just keeping track of trends and understanding how to manage membership, both getting in new members and also managing the ones that have arrived. So there's 3 sections to this. These are the sections you told us are the most important. The first is membership. Where are the new members? Where are they coming from? When are they joining, etc. The second is around the conversation and the discourse inside of the group. When is it happening? What are the things that are causing it to happen, etc., so that you can manage the conversation. And then the third is a leaderboard that helps you understand your top contributors so that you can send them, These were all your ideas. So that you can send them flowers and thank them, or you can nudge them if they stop being active and you can remind them. We also heard a lot, Mark talked about this, about the importance of managing inbound requests. Membership request filtering will have 11 preset filters, which are based on the things you've told us you need. This will make local groups, if you're the physician's mom group, this will make it easier to identify the moms. And this sort of thing, we've heard it will save you tens of hours a week, some of you even more than that, and you'll be able to build your own filters as well. How many of you have to deal with bad actors sometimes? We heard from you this was a really important tool. It will help you clean up after them. We heard that it was a tedious task to go through and remove. If somebody started going rogue, this will help you undo their rogueness very, very quickly. So thank you. You guys told us this was really important. And then post-scheduling, another important feature. I don't even need to tell you why. You all know. You told us this was important. It was interesting to hear, just meeting with so many of you, the patterns that were in common, including rules for what happened on which day. So for many of you, a Mondays are for this sort of thing, a Tuesday are for this sort of thing. This should make it easier for you to, on a Sunday night, just sit down and lay out what the week will look like and not have to be glued to your phone. We also heard a lot about groups' relationships to one another, chapters, subgroups. If you're a group with hundreds of thousands of people in it, you want to organize those. So group-to-group linking will let you put all those things out. So all of this is launching today. We're continuing to roll out groups for pages. This is just looking a little bit further down the road. There are 65 million pages on Facebook. This is local businesses. This is artists, public figures, and newsrooms. We heard from the Boston Globe that there was a group that had formed to comment on and participate in the way that reporting was happening on political issues, as well as the Sudoku puzzles. This is awesome. Terry, are you here from the Washington Post? Or from the Wall Street? Are you here? Hey, Terry started a group to do this at the Washington Post, which is just basically a way of engaging the already there active heavy-duty readers in the conversation on what's going on, as you said, behind the scenes, the story of the journalist and the story of the story. So we think this kind of thing is going to unlock, again, a lot more of these communities that are already happening just by structuring them around whoever it is that's already running it. So we're really excited about this, too. We also have our teams here. These folks are tasked with the awesome responsibility of building tools for you and making sure that you can be as effective as you possibly can be in pursuing the missions and in catering to the people that you guys have already set out to do. So we're building out the team, and we're going to continue to do everything we can to make our platform useful and impactful for all of you. So thank you so much for being here today. Some of you have traveled from all over. We're really excited you're here. Have a great couple days. Thank you.
Nobody likes getting up early to go to work. Everyone loves getting up early to go fishing. The almost meditative state it puts me in when I'm out on the water. It's just a really cool connection with nature. Fishing has always been a part of my life, and I feel it keeps me mentally stable most of the time. So when I moved to Austin, I really didn't know anybody to go fish with. Fishing groups are like tribes, where most of them are super closed off. Keep Austin Fishing was open to any and everybody. I just kind of immediately fell in love with that idea of finally having this group of people that I could bounce questions off of, share tips and tricks. And when you've got 4,000 plus members, it's really cool to see the community come together. We've got the 9-to-5 businessman. We've got guys like me, kind of rough on the outside looking, but I'd give you the shirt off my back. We all have come from different walks of life, but we all are there for the same reason, and that's to help each other out.
He caught a big fish today. We're all happy for him.
We're all family, the fishing family.